What's your name?
My name is Dennis Payne. I'm the founder of the Eye of Kensington on Facebook. I also do a lot of community things with the Friends of McPherson Square, which is the famous Needlepoint Park. And what's going on should be on a national level. You're so right. Everything here is carbon copy of every city. I've been traveling for over 30 some odd years. There ain't a city in this country that I haven't practically seen except for north of New York. And I'm advocating on a national level for a national sheltering system that starts with an emergency intake center that focuses on mental health, physical health, homelessness, and addictions of all sorts, be it gambling, sex, drugs. Without this kind of program on a national level supported by national taxpayers and the government and private grants to make this happen, right, none of this is going to work. All the attempts on both sides, all it's going to do, as I demonstrated earlier, is cause friction. Okay, so much friction that it's going to be a match in the powder keg. Right here at Kensington, if we can fix what ails Kensington here, we can cure the nation. I suggest as a president, as a model, are you familiar with the Water Street Rescue Mission in Lancaster, PA?
No.
Okay, well, they've been up since 1901, and they cater to an individual at a time. They do not have a cookie-cutter system where you come in and whatever, you're part of whatever. No, they come in and evaluate the individual. And on them grounds is how I base an emergency intake center, that you evaluate that individual. Not all individuals living out here on the street are out here because they're homeless, for being poor, or mentally or disabled. There's many reasons, and we need a place that can figure out what that individual's reason, why they got where they're at, and how we can get them back onto their God-given destiny for their life. And then that's where the homes of hope, I believe, through an intake center, shelter for those who need it, later on to homes of hope. I like to turn abandoned houses around the country into homes of hope later on, but it takes the nation to do it. There's a movie called Meet John Doe, and it's about a guy going to commit suicide at Christmas Eve if everybody didn't get together and create something that was going to care for the unfortunate neighbor, the elderly lady who's eating cat food because she can't afford, regular food, but she can afford her cat food. All kinds of little things like that. This is where we're at now. If we do not come together as a nation, we will fall. We are falling. What we're witnessing right now here in Kensington is the fall of our community. And those of us that are born and raised, I'm 3 blocks from here at Jasper and Wensley. I'm known, right, very well around here, as you can tell, mingling in the crowd. A lot of people know me. I've been advocating all this for, here in Kensington for at least a good 20 years. I started Havoc, which is called Homeless American Volunteer Organization Coalition. The key word, organization, coalition. There's no organization, there's no coalition out here organizing everybody together, and that's what I hope for Havoc to be. Take all sides, sit down at the table. A lot of people don't understand that Philadelphia is the seat where our citizens can present our grievances to the nation. I ask everybody to come to Philadelphia and create a quorum, and let's build a good shelter on all levels for all people, no matter who they are. Even the animals will benefit out of this shelter. We have shortages of animal shelters. We have orphanages that kids age out. They don't have no places. Covenant House can't handle all of them. So we need something for every city, from population of 8 to a population of 8 million. We need shelters, and it can't be just government and religious based. It's got to be community based and tailored to that particular community. I'm sure a community of a population of 8 don't have all these issues, but they still have people that are poor that need things.
I think everything you said was really powerful. Keyword: organizing. You can't really organize if one side is fighting with the other. They share a lot of the same beliefs, but have their eyes on each other instead of the government who's selling them out. Right. I also wanted to ask you, you were talking at the federal level what they need to do, but a major problem in America is our politicians, federally, state, local, are taking bribes. are taking bribes from the real estate developers, are taking bribes from the banks, fossil fuel, big pharma. So how do you get them to do the sensible thing, the humane thing, what you're saying, if they're...
Penalize them. Ultimately penalize them. If they go against the grain of the community in which they serve, and they are not helping to improve that community, and which their track records are evidence of that, okay? And right now, we got a president who's more concerned about other issues other than what's taking place here on our streets. I have not seen an American president not once come to Kensington and say, hey, I hear you. We are not being heard. The residents here in Kensington are not being heard. We are being snuffed out. Our voices are being snuffed out by people that are coming into our neighborhood like Shift Capital, Operation Save Our City. They're snuffing our voices out, okay? Look, they came out here. This was supposed to be our time to say something, but they came out to go toe-to-toe with us. As I demonstrated earlier, I went off because that was to demonstrate how angry everybody in this community. Everybody, when I went off, you notice how they all cheered, went on, right? I represent a lot of people. I'm just a little pit bull. Okay, I was just nipping at their heels, okay? But there's a lot more bigger people around here that are getting tired of it. And I know a lot of big-time dealers that are tired of it. Everybody wants the madness to stop. A lot of the people that are caught up in the game as far as dealing, they don't know how to get out of it or don't want to get out of it, okay? That's a whole different issue. We'll leave that up to the politicians, right? But in the meantime, we got to get them off our streets. What they did to Gurney Camp, right? They moved them people out of Gurney Camp without anywhere to go. They should have had a shelter up and going for them to go to or something in that kind of form before they disrupted the nest. Now that they disrupted the nest, they're continuing to disrupt our community. Now, if you can have community standards on Facebook and everywhere else, why can't Kensington have community standards? And when people violate our community standards, why can't we have our paid, our money, our tax dollars, law enforcement come in and protect our community standards? Why, you know, when I was a kid, I'm going clean and sober since '85. I was the worst junkie out here. I used to huff glue and shoot meth. Okay, none of these kids out here was anywhere near bad as I was in the 70s. Okay, they're all angels. But what happened in the 70s ain't happening now. And I predict the 70s are coming back if we don't get our streets back. What we did in the 70s, what happened to me, I couldn't walk the streets down on any of these avenues without getting beat up because they didn't want no glue huffers. They didn't want no users, okay? That same mentality is coming back, and it's coming back really hard. And if people don't get together, like I said, Kensington's a powder keg just waiting to blow. That's all.
And what's your message? Because it seems Biden, the media certainly, they're still fixated on Trump. They're fixated on, you know, the Super Bowl, Biden going to Russia.
They're all promoting distractions. They're distracting from the real issues. Okay, the real issues is rebuild America from the bottom up. Okay, not the top down, the bottom up. Okay, don't trickle down theory, trickle up. Okay, I right now personally believe that every single politician on the books right now deserves a 75% pay cut. They should lose 75% of their pay, okay, because they are doing nothing. They are standing in the way of progress. They are causing more chaos and more dissension amongst our society than any government since the creation of this government, okay? You think Abe Lincoln had it hard with all the different parties, Whiggers and Quakers and whatever it was. Look at the chaos today. We are more chaotic than what we were 200 years ago, 400 years ago. We are so scrambled that we don't know what direction this country is going. And if we don't stand up and start pulling together, what was the old saying? United we stand, divided we fall. No, we're being divided. Okay, why are we being divided? Over somebody else's guns and drugs that are not even being manufactured in this neighborhood. And this neighborhood is a dying neighborhood. It just doesn't know that it died yet. It has a chance to be revived, but if it keeps going down this road that it's going, we'll be burying it next.
And you could say that for this neighborhood and
all Philadelphia,
many neighborhoods around the country.
Yes, yes.
What's your name again?
My name is Dennis Payne, and I'm the founder of the Eye of Kensington on Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel by the same name.
The Eye of Kensington?
The Eye of Kensington. As I see it, I like everybody else to see it, and I know everybody don't see my way, but if you are for getting these guys help, then you got to see the national shelter as the solution to what's going on. First, we need to know who's out here, and that's what the intake center is all about. We need to evaluate the mental from the physical, from the addiction. Send them on down to their proper roads. Those that got mental health, go into mental health. Those that got regular economic homeless issues, onto retraining. Those who are addicted, onto a rehab of some sort. And we need laws to back a lot of this stuff up. If you OD on our streets, anytime, anywhere on our streets, it should be mandatory 1 year drug and alcohol rehab. When you cannot get up and walk away from that cop, you cannot get up and walk away from that paramedic. Once they've been called and they come to your side and they start administering help, you're now in their custody. You have proven that you have gone against our community standards and you became a hazard not only to yourself but to our community. And by that, you deemed yourself, what's the proper word? Incompetent. By ODing in our streets, you declared yourself incompetent. You're no longer safe, so we can pull you out and put you into a rehab. The first 6 months deals with your addiction. The next 6 months deals with your recovery. And it should be a mandatory 1 year.